Well, we're glad you're here this morning. And as Joe said, if there's anything we can do for you, you have any needs, any questions, any desires, let us know about them. That's what we're here for, to walk with you. Not to push you the direction we want you to go, but to walk with you. I was talking about pushing people in directions. I was thinking the other day, back when Carol and I first started dating, it was amazing the number of people that came out of the woodwork to tell us the right way to date each other. People came, friends, family, people at church, came out of the woodwork to tell us the right way to date, the right way to look for a spouse. They told us the right way to interview for a potential mate, how to find out everything about that person that we needed to know before we got any further down the line. But they always kind of intimated that the way that we were doing it wasn't the right way to do it. And oddly enough, the right way to do it was the way that they were doing it or had done it. As our relationship, my Carol and I's relationship advanced, we finally got engaged. Even more people came out of the woodwork then, friends, family, people from church. They came out of the woodwork to tell us the right way that we would have to conduct our marriage once we got married. They would say, a wife always does blah, 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 and a husband never does blah, 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 blah. I learned about the never stuff all on my own by trial and error. All these people would tell us that that the secret to their good marriage was this, and so that was the secret for our good marriage. After we got married, people continued to tell us that we weren't quite doing marriage the right way. People would tell us that we really weren't doing the marriage the right way because, we weren't doing it their way. They had all kinds of godly advice for us and scriptural guidance for us because they knew the right way to do marriage. But nothing compared to the number of people that came out of the woodwork, the number of people that had all the right answers when they found out that we were having kids. Oh boy. Everyone's an expert on how to raise kids. After we had our kids, everyone knew the right way to do things, and they didn't hesitate to tell us that we were doing it wrong. People came out of the woodworks, friends, family, people from church. They would say, you should never, ever let your kids say X, Y, and Z. They should never do X, Y, or Z. The right way to punish a child is this. The right way to discipline a child is this. And it just so happened that the way that they were telling us to do it were the way that they were doing it. And not only would people tell us that we were doing it wrong and give us their advice, they also pointed us to other people and said, hey, if you really want to know the right way to raise kids, you need to go talk to so-and-so because they know what they're doing. And you don't. But you know what? I don't know that there's any more judged or criticized aspect of somebody's life than that of how they live out their Christianity. Oh boy, there is no lack of experts in how to walk the Christian walk the right way. There's no lack of experts to correct you on your walk. And most of the time, the right way to do Christianity is the way that they do Christianity. And they feel supremely confident in telling you the right way to do Christianity because they're confident in their understanding of the Scriptures, and they're confident that they have implemented the Scriptures in their life flawlessly. And so they feel pretty qualified to tell you where you're wrong. If it were just to stop there, though, if it were just to stop at something telling me the right way to do marriage, or the right way to raise kids, or the right way to do Christianity, if it would stop at them just judging me about what I was doing wrong, that would be one thing. But these people also seem very comfortable with talking about other people to other people, about how everyone else is doing things wrong. And they can give you examples of how other people are wrong. They feel like it's their responsibility to talk about other people who are doing it wrong. They feel no compunction about openly criticizing someone and the way they choose to do things. Now here's the interesting part. As I look back over my life at the people who told me the right way to date, the right way to marry, the right way to have kids, and the right way to do Christianity, as I look back at all those people now, I see a lot of the people that told me the right way to do marriage, they ain't married anymore. True. I look at some of the people who told me the right way to raise my kids, and I look, anything's reversible, right? But I look at some of the results of their parenting, and I got to tell you, it's a train wreck. I pray for these kids. They're horrible little creatures right now, and I pray that God will somehow work in their lives, but I'm like, man, you were telling me how to do kids? Really? But the saddest one of all is those people who would tell me how to do Christianity. And these people were like, this is the way. They had no doubt in their mind. They would criticize other people for it. They would run down the elders. They would talk about how bad the preaching is and how the song service stunk. And they had everything to say about everyone. And you know where they are now? They're not even in a church right now anywhere. They've turned their back on their faith. And they have given up any semblance of right living in their life. But yet they thought they felt compelled to correct me. How dare they correct me, of course, right? Show me some results. Show me some fruit. You want to talk to me about kids? Let me see the fruit of your work. You want to talk about your marriage? You want to tell me how to do my marriage? Let me look at your marriage. You want to tell me how to do Christianity? Let me see the fruits of your Christianity first. There are some people who think they know so much, people who think they know the right way, people who feel they're empowered to judge you, and all the while they're failing miserably at all their endeavors. As I've been describing these people to you this morning, I've seen a lot of people nodding your heads. I've seen a lot of people, maybe people have popped into your mind while I was describing these people to you, like you know them. Or maybe I was even describing you to yourself. We all know people like this. We all know people who can really point out the things that are wrong with you. And yet when you look at them, you say, how in the world do you feel empowered to do this to me? We call them self-righteous. We call them the know-it-alls. I've said it before and I'll say it again, people haven't changed very much in 2,000 years. In Jesus' time, he had these people too. Take a look at Jesus' words in Matthew chapter 7. He says, "Do not judge, or you too will be judged. For the same way you judge others, you will be judged. And with what measure you use, it will be used to measure you." Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, "Let me take that speck out of your eye," when all the time there is a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite, you know-it-all. You self-righteous know-it-all. Take the plank out of your own eye, and then you'll be able to see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. Jesus here wastes no words in his warning to these type of people. He very directly calls these type of people hypocrites. You judge others, but man, your life is a mess. Someone who is free in remarking or criticizing other men's sin or their shortfalls, and all the while covering up their own sins or ignoring their own sin. And indeed, one end of this person's end, what they're looking for in this criticism and this rigid censure, is to build themselves up, to appear holier than they really are, or at least to appear holier than the one they're criticizing. Kind of reminds me of the description that Jesus used when he was talking about the teachers of the law, the Pharisees and the scribes, when he said, "Woe to you teachers and you of the law and you Pharisees, you hypocrites, you know-it-all hypocrites. You're like whitewashed tombs which look beautiful on the outside, but on the inside are full of dead men's bones and everything unclean. In the same way, on the outside you appear to people as righteous, but on the inside you are full of hypocrisy and wickedness. Those who would be teachers, who would go about trying to correct others, must first correct themselves. And that is the proverbial meaning of this expression. A man must begin with himself first. Take notice of his own sin first. Criticize himself first. Reform himself first. And then maybe in time, he becomes the type of person that can help someone else correct something in their life. But it has to start with the person first. There may be some people here in the seats this morning that need to take a look in the mirror to see if they've got something in their eye, like a big plank sticking out of it. Maybe you need to do that before you start checking the person sitting next to you in church this morning. I hope that if you need to, you'll heed this warning of Jesus. You'll examine yourself first, correct yourself first, and then look to help others. But what I want to do this morning, I want to look at the second warning that Jesus had in here. He warned those hypocrites, but there's a second warning here. And you say, wait a minute, Jay, I don't remember seeing a second warning in what Jesus said. Well, there is another warning here. It's kind of an implied warning. And I say I hope the rest of us heed this warning, because I hope there's not too many of us that have to examine ourselves on that first one. But the second warning here is implied. And the second warning is this. The second warning is, we live in a world filled with people who suffer from this disease called plank eye. Doesn't that just want to make you gouge your eye out? That's horrible, isn't it? There are people, we live in a world filled with people who suffer from plank eye. As we walk through our life on a daily basis, listen, you're going to encounter these people. People who Jesus is describing in this verse. These are the people that we live with, that we work with, people that we go to church with. And these people suffer from plank eye. They're going to keep on heaping judgments on you. They're going to keep criticizing you. They're going to keep trying to correct you, all the while their life is a mess. They're going to be giving you their guidance and their godly advice. Mind you, they may not have your best interest in mind. They have their interest in mind. They have their position in mind, their reputation in mind. And to be sure, in the background somewhere, their life is full of havoc and failure and destruction. But that won't stop you, or that won't stop them from telling you how wrong they are. It won't stop them from trying to pile guilt on you to make you do what they think you ought to do. And it surely won't stop them from telling you how you should be corrected. And with so many of them out there, with so many of them sharing so many different judgments, if we're not careful, listening to these people that have plank eye can have devastating effects on us. It can damage us emotionally. It can damage us spiritually. It can rob the joy out of our Christianity. It can frustrate our walk with God. It can rob us from the freedom that Jesus died for and put back on us the burden of rule following and guilt and tradition. We need to heed what Jesus is saying here. We need to be careful who we listen to. We need to be careful whose judgments we accept and whose judgments we don't accept. But Jay, how can I know if I'm talking to a plank eye or not? How do I know that? Well, throughout my life, I've kind of identified a couple things that you can kind of say, hey, if this person does this, they're probably a plank eye. So now Uncle Jay is going to give you some advice on how to identify a plank eye. The first thing that every plank eye that I've ever known always has the right answer to whatever the question is, no matter what. They don't need to know all the details of the situation. They just need to have overheard a little bit of gossip about the situation, and they are fully equipped to give you the exact right answer every time, no matter what. Now, they don't need to know the details. They wouldn't even have to have gone through anything in their life like this. But a plank eye always knows the right answer. Always knows the right answer. And they'll have no hesitation to give you that answer, even if you didn't ask for that answer. These are the people that barge in your front door and tell you how to correct things. And you're saying to yourself, why don't you walk a mile for a minute and then tell me how to correct my stuff? Because they're always right, because they always have the right answer no matter what, a plank eye will never, ever admit to a mistake. They can't not be right. They can't, wait a minute, they can't not be right. Is that right? They can't, yeah, that's right. Okay, they can't not be right. See? There you go. That type of admission, to say that I was wrong, that type of admission to a plank eye would be far too damaging to their position, to their reputation, right? They would never admit to that. That type of admission would erode the foundation that they've set their self-righteousness on, and that foundation is the foundation of self-delusion. If a person can't say, I was wrong or I don't know, they're probably a plank eye. And a plank eye will always burden others with actions but never takes action themselves. They'll be the ones who say, you need to fix this about your life and you need to fix these 5 things about your life, but they're never the person that would say, is there anything I can do to help you? They're not the ones to roll up their sleeves and get their hands dirty in other people's lives, because they're afraid if they get to know someone and someone gets to know them, they may notice that their life isn't the righteous image that they've cultivated for themselves. A plank eye is not an instrument of assistance. They are dispensers of correctness. Now you might be saying to yourself right now, you know what, because there's a danger I might have a plank eye out there giving me judgment and correction, I don't want that. Maybe I just won't listen to anybody. Maybe I'll just do my own thing the way I want to do it, and if someone comes to me to correct me, I'm going to say, you know what, forget it, I don't need your help, I'll just do it my way. That way I'll never be at risk for getting bad advice from a plank eye. But the fact of the matter is, the Bible is filled with verses that talk about people who are wise, or people who desire to be wise, how they seek out correction. They seek out counsel. They want to hear other people's judgments. So taking direction from others, learning from their guidance, is an integral part of us growing in our Christianity, growing in wisdom. And I think there's a key here to wisely select who we take correction from and whose judgments are sound and trustworthy. I was talking to a young couple a couple weeks ago, and I gave them some advice, because I'm not a young couple, I'm an old couple now. I gave them some advice, and I said, you know what? Be careful who you let into your life. Be careful who you let into your relationships. Be careful who you let into your marriage. The way you let someone in is you select them and you invite them in. I told them to be selective who they decide to let in, and not just let anyone who knocks come in, because there's all kinds of people, just like happened to me and my wife, there's going to be all kinds of people giving you advice on how to do your marriage. And not all of them are fit to do so. Listen, if you want to learn from someone about how to have a successful marriage, if you want to have someone in your life to give you advice and correction and judgment on your marriage, you know what you do? You find some people who have been doing it a while, and you look at their fruits, you look at their results. When you see that couple, you say, man, I want to be a husband who is kind and understanding and patient. Well, then you find a husband who's kind. Why? In that manner. If you're a wife and you say, hey, I want to be supportive and understanding, go find that godly woman who is supportive and understanding with her husband and learn from her. And then you invite them into your life. Look at their fruits. Ask them. Look for a track record. Listen, I'm raising 2 teenage girls. I got a 16 and a 19, and they're not here today so I can talk about them. I'm raising a 16 and a 19. You know what? I'm not going to go talk to Anthony Linden about raising teenage girls. You know why? He hadn't done it yet. He's gonna. He's gonna. But he hasn't done it yet. I don't even give advice to other people about raising teenage girls. You know why? Because I'm in the midst of the chaos right now. I think I see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I'm in the middle of it right now. And I say to people, here's what I'm trying, here's what I'm doing, here's what I've learned from other people, but man, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to make it. Now, am I qualified to give Anthony some advice on raising little girls before they become teenagers? Yeah. Anthony, run away before they turn teenagers. That's the best advice I can give you, man. Look for someone who has a track record. Plank guys don't have track records. They don't have the fruits to back up what they're saying. Wise people seek counsel from wise people who have fruits. And even after you find your wise counselors to assist you, who are qualified to correct you, there's still another thing that you have to do. There's still another place you have to turn, and there's just no way around this, folks. You've got to spend time in God's Word. This is one of my favorite Psalms. Your promises are sweet to me, sweeter than honey in my mouth. Your orders give me understanding, so I hate lying ways. And then this is, your word is a lamp for my feet and a light for my path. You want guidance, you want judgment, you want correction? Start with the Word of God. You want to know about how raising kids or about marriage, about conflicts, about managing money, about whatever, go to the Word first. Then compare those principles you find there to the advice and the counsel and the correction and the judgments that you receive. Oh, you'll be able to get rid of the plank eyes real quick. You'll weed them out real fast, and you'll see who is wise among you. Then you'll be able to move forward boldly, knowing that the path that you're on has been ordained by God, has been tried by other people, and the promises of results that He promised those people, you will have as well. I don't care if you've been a Christian for 50 years or if you're just being introduced to Christianity now. You want to know the right path to go in a certain situation? Go home, turn on your PC, open a browser, go to Bing or Google and say, what does the Bible say about raising kids? Start there. What does the Bible say about marriage? Start there. I was going to tell you to get your Nave's Topical Bible, but most of you don't even know what a Nave's Topical Bible is anymore. It was a Google search before there were Google searches. Start there. See what wisdom you can extract from the Word of God itself. And then seek out those who've been doing it for a long time and have tangible results. And whatever you do, don't listen to the plank eyes. Because remember, they can't see the plank in their own eye. How are they going to see the speck in your eye? There's two warnings in that passage that we read from Jesus. Don't be a plank eye, and have an understanding that they're out there. There's some people in this audience this morning, I feel certain, that need some correction in their life. They probably know they need the correction in their life as well. There are people here, godly people, humble people, that are willing to help you correct. They won't tell you what you need to do, they will walk with you. If you have any need of correction, of guidance, come this morning. Get it done today. If you haven't put Christ on in baptism yet, now's a good time to do it. If you've been thinking about it for a while, do it this morning. There are people here that will walk with you and give you sound, godly advice in your walk. Do it this morning. Let's all stand together and sing.